Heraclitus of Ephesus, the philosopher of paradox, the master of change. In the 6th century BC, long before the time of Socrates and Plato, Heraclitus walked the streets of Ephesus, a city caught between the influences of Greek culture and Persian rule. He would come to be known as the dark or the obscure, and for good reason. His philosophy was a riddle, a cryptic, profound series of observations about the nature of reality, steeped in paradox. Heraclitus' most famous idea can be summed up in a single phrase: everything flows. This philosophy of change, also expressed as no man ever steps in the same river twice, isn't just about rivers. It's a profound statement on the nature of life itself. Everything is constantly changing, from the world around us to who we are as individuals. We, like the river, are in perpetual motion, forever transforming. But for Heraclitus, this change isn't chaotic. It's structured by what he called the logos, a word that can mean reason, discourse, or word. The logos is the underlying order of the universe, the reason behind the constant flux. Yet, paradoxically, while the world is always in motion, this order keeps everything in balance. Heraclitus believed that opposites are essential to this balance. Without night, there is no day. Without sorrow, there is no joy. He famously wrote, "The path up and the path down are one and the same." Opposites don't just exist alongside each other. They define one another, creating the dynamic tension that drives the universe. Heraclitus saw this tension as the source of harmony. Where others saw conflict, Heraclitus saw justice. He argued that strife is justice, meaning that the world is held together by the conflict of opposites. This idea is best captured in his analogy of the lyre or the bow. Without the tension of the strings, the lyre produces no music. Without conflict, there is no harmony, no life. Heraclitus saw this tension as the source of harmony. Where others saw conflict, Heraclitus saw justice. He argued that strife is justice, meaning that the world is held together by the conflict of opposites. This idea is best captured in his analogy of the lyre or the bow. Without the tension of the strings, the lyre produces no music. Without conflict, there is no harmony, no life. Heraclitus didn't just criticize the physical world. He also took a sharp aim at human nature. He was a fierce critic of conventional wisdom, saying that, though reason is common, most people live as though they had their own understanding. He believed that people ignored the truth of the logos, clinging instead to their personal, limited views of the world. He was famously critical of revered figures like Homer, Hesiod, and Pythagoras, accusing them of misunderstanding the world's true nature. Heraclitus didn't think people were incapable of understanding the truth, just unwilling to seek it. Heraclitus was not a philosopher for the masses. His disdain for popular religion, mystery cults, and even democracy earned him a reputation as a misanthrope, a solitary figure who withdrew from society. Unlike Democritus, who became known as the laughing philosopher, Heraclitus was dubbed the weeping philosopher, said to be moved to tears by the folly of mankind. And yet, despite his disdain for human folly, Heraclitus wasn't a pessimist. In his cryptic, often poetic fragments, he embraced the complexity of life. He recognized that suffering and joy, chaos and order are intertwined. In one famous fragment, he declares, "War is the father of all, the king of all. To him, it is through conflict that life emerges, that the world evolves." Heraclitus believed that this ever-present conflict, this dynamic tension, is not only necessary, but beautiful. He compared it to a bow, whose tension is required to shoot an arrow, or a stringed instrument, whose tension creates melody. Without conflict, the world would stagnate. Without strife, there could be no justice, no harmony. But what of the man himself? So little is known of Heraclitus's personal life that we are left with stories and fragments. One tale tells of his death. Ironically, that he succumbed to dropsy, a condition where the body retains too much fluid. Some say he tried to cure himself by covering his body in dung, attempting to dry himself out. In the end, he died covered in the very opposite of what he valued, a dry soul. Heraclitus left behind just one work, a book that he deposited in the great temple of Artemis in Ephesus. Over time, it was lost to history, with only fragments remaining, scattered through the works of later writers. But his influence endures. Plato, Aristotle, the Stoics, Hegel, Nietzsche, all of them wrestled with the ideas of this enigmatic thinker. And in his cryptic fragments, we find the seeds of modern thought about the nature of reality, identity, and change. Perhaps what draws us to Heraclitus, even today, is that his ideas mirror our own experience of life, complex, filled with contradictions, yet deeply interconnected. As he said, a hidden connection is stronger than an obvious one. Heraclitus taught us that nothing stays the same, that everything, in some way or another, is always becoming. And as we journey through life, we can find comfort in his paradoxes, in the wisdom that change, though constant, is the only thing that binds us all. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this exploration into ancient philosophy, don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into the minds that shaped our world.